Hello and welcome. This is Jessie of Jessie at Home, and in this video I'm going to show you how to do the little fans stitch. So this is a swatch of the little fan stitch, and I've actually done a single crochet all the way around it to make it a square, and I will explain to you how to do the single crochet around if you want to make yours into a square, but for now I'm just going to teach you how to make the little fans stitch. So to make the little fan stitch, you start off with a foundation chain that is a multiple of 4 plus 1. So for example, 6 times 4 is 24. So there's your multiple of 4. 24 plus 1 is 25. So I have chained 25. Now you are going to double crochet, actually 2 double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So I tend to, when I'm working into my foundation chain, there is the top of the chain and there is the bottom of the chain, and there's these little ridges. You can kind of see them that way. You see those little bumps that are on the bottom of the chain. I tend to work into those because it puts this at the very bottom of my work, which means if I'm going to add something else onto it, like how I added the single crochet border around this, it gives me these really nice set of loops to work into, just like you see at the top of your stitches. So that's why I like to work at the bottom loops. So we are going to place 2 double crochets in the 4th chain from our hook. So to find the 4th chain, I'm counting these bottom loops. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. So that is where I'm putting my double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm placing 2 double crochet in that 4th chain from my hook. And now I'm going to do a series of chain 1, skip 3, and double crochet 3 in the next stitch. Okay, so I did my chain 1, and then I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3, and place 3 double crochet in the next chain. I'm going to do that across until there's just 5 stitches left. Okay, chain 1. Now skip 1, 2, 3, place 3 double crochets in this chain. There's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, place 3 double crochet in the next chain. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, skip 1, 2, 3, place 3 double crochet in the next chain. 1, 2, and 3, and now there are 5 chains left. Okay, so I'm going to skip 3 again. 1, 2, 3, place 2 double crochet in the next chain. 1, 2, and then the last double crochet is going to go in the last chain. Okay, this just kind of keeps it from having a corner that pulls. So here we have the first row. Now we're going to work on our second row of the little fan stitch. So we're going to turn. Now we're going to chain 4. This counts as a double crochet and a chain 1. We are now going to go over to the next chain 1 space, and we're going to double crochet in that chain 1 space. And now you're going to double crochet into the middle of the 3 stitches you skipped. You see how we skipped 1, 2, 3? We're actually going to double crochet into that middle stitch. So you work over top of that chain 1 into that middle chain. And when I make the double crochet, it's essentially a spike stitch. I'm not going to pull it extremely tall, but I am going to pull that bottom that loop I just pulled through a little bit. I'll show you this again on the next one. I am pulling that up a little bit to help with that spike stitch. Okay, and finish off my double crochet and then do the last double crochet back into the chain 1. Okay, and I'll keep showing you, don't worry if you didn't catch it the first time. We're going to chain 1. Now we're going over to the next chain 1. We're going to double crochet into that, then double crochet over that and into the middle of these 3 skipped chains, and then double crochet back into that chain 1 again. So double crochet and then double crochet over that and into the middle of that skipped, of those 3 skipped. So here is the middle chain. We're going into, this will be easier when we're looking at regular, at the double crochets. Into that, yarn over, pull through, and that pull through I'm pulling up a little bit to get that spike that goes down. And then finishing off my double crochet and doing 1 more double crochet in the chain 1. Chain 1. Going to double crochet, then double crochet into the middle of the skipped section below it, and then double crochet again. Double crochet into the chain 1, double crochet over top of that and into the middle of the skipped stitches, and double crochet into the chain 1 again. We're going to do that 2 more times here. I guess you're just going to keep doing that until you run out of chain 1 spaces. Okay, just keep going until we run out of those chain 1 spaces. 1 more. There's my double crochet. Here is my double crochet into the space below. And here is my last regular double crochet. And now I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to double crochet into the top of the essentially the chain 3, which is counting as our first chain. We did this foundation double crochet and a foundation chain. I did the 25, whatever your foundation chain is. It's the very last chain of your foundation chain is what you're actually working into here. Okay, for that double crochet at the very end. Okay. So here we have row 2 of the little fans stitch. Okay, so now we're going to work on row 3 of our little fan stitch. We are going to turn and chain 3. And this chain 3 is counting as our first double crochet, which means our next double crochet is actually our spike stitch. It's going to go down into this double crochet. We had this chain 3 that counted as our first, so this double crochet is our second of these 3 double crochets. So we're going to work over our chain 1 and into that double crochet that's in the middle of the 3 of them below, making another double crochet, and then double crochet into the chain 1 again. Chain 1. Now back to our double crochet into the center of the 3, and then double crochet again. Just double crochet into the chain 1. We're going to do a double crochet spike into the double crochet below, into the center of that double crochet below the chain 1, and then double crochet in the chain 1 again, and chain 1. Repeat. Double crochet, a spike that goes on down over the chain 1 and down into the center of those 3 double crochets, and double crochet into the chain 1 again. And keep on going. We did a chain 1 and now double crochet, a spike double crochet, and a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet, a spike double crochet, and double crochet, chain 1. Now we're going to go, you see we've gone all the way until all that's left is this chain 4. We're going to double crochet, a spike double crochet, And then the last double crochet we're actually going to work into, so catch, you know, that actual chain. Don't just work around the chain, but work into the third chain of that chain 4. And that kind of helps keep your edge straight. Okay, there we have row 3. Row 3 and 4 are going to be repeated. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4 until it's tall enough. So that was row 3. And then next we're going to do row 4. From row 4, we're going to turn. Row 4 is very similar to row 2, only this time we're working into the double crochets as opposed to working into the chains, which is why I wrote it as a separate row. Sometimes when you find this stitch in some of those vintage stitch pattern books, they actually have you start off with a foundation row of single crochets, and they give you rows then 1, 2, and 3, and have you repeat rows 2 and 3. I like to make sure that your patterns are written to the point where the repeat rows are all being worked in the same exact manner. So it just makes things a little easier in my mind. Now what we're doing is, this is row 4. We're going to chain 3, so we're going to chain 4, which is going to count as our double crochet and a chain 1. Okay, so that's chain 4, which is essentially a double crochet and a chain 1. And now we're going to work in all of these chain 1 spaces the same way we have before. Double crochet, a spike stitch down into the center of the 3 double crochets below it, and then double crochet again in the chain. We're going to work that all the way across this row. Double crochet, spike, double crochet, chain 1. Okay, I'm a bit of a geek, so every time I work a spike stitch and I say spike, I think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Which is why occasionally you hear me giggle when I say spike. Chain 1, double crochet, now I'm just going to giggle, spike, and double crochet. Yes, I just admitted that. Chain 1, and keep on going. Double crochet, spike, double crochet, chain 1. We've got one more to go. We're going to double crochet into that chain 1 space. We're going to place a spike stitch down over the chain 1 space and into the center of these 3 double crochets. And then we're going to do one more double crochet in that chain 1. And now to finish off row 4, you chain 1 and you double crochet into the top of the chain 3 that started your previous row. Alright, and here we have row 4. So now you are just going to repeat row 3 and row 4 and row 3 and row 4 and keep on going until this is the height that you want. Now, in the case of this, I wanted a square. So I kept going, and what I did was you can measure if you want to, but what I do is I fold it corner to corner, and you know, when you fold it, if say I had only gone this far, and I folded it, and look, the corners don't match. It means I didn't work far enough. So I just keep going until I fold it, and all of my corners match up, because in a square, you can fold it corner to corner, and you won't get a corner that looks like this. You won't get a corner that looks like this or that looks like this if you have an actual square. All 3 of these corners, when folded in your triangle, will match. Okay, so that's how I determine my square. Once you get your square, or whatever size you want. In this case, I wanted a square, whatever you know, square or rectangle. What I then did was I chained 1, I turned and I chained 1, and I single crocheted all the way across, and I counted how many single crochets that was. Okay? Let me show you, because I did a little something to kind of mirror the spike stitch. That's the word I was looking for. Alright, So our first single crochet is going into this double crochet. So that would be a single crochet there. And it really depends on which row you're on as to how many you start with, if you end with a row 3 or a row 4, but you can figure that out. Now, rather than just single crocheting straight into this chain, what I did when I got to that was I did a spike stitch single crochet over that chain to mirror the pattern, and then I did a single crochet in each of the next 3 doubles. So let me show you that again. You do a single crochet on top of every single double, and then a spike single on top of the chain. A single crochet on top of every single double, and then a spike single on top of the chain. And you keep on doing that across, and this is actually the top of my work, and you can see those spiked singles that I did every time I hit one of those chain spaces. And by doing that, I didn't have a kind of gap right there. On the bottom there's a little bit of some gapping, but not too much, and on the top there's none at all because I mirrored that pattern. Now you do that all the way across, and then when you get to the corner you chain 2. For a square I counted how many stitches I did, and in this case I did 23, so I then knew that I needed to evenly space 23 stitches down the bottom. So I just kind of counted how many loops I had to work into, and then figured out how to space out my single crochets in order to get the 23 back down. There were actually 15 spaces to work into when I went down the side. So 15 plus 7 is 23. So I did 2 and then 1 and then 2 and then 1 all the way down, and that got me to 23. And then you do the chain 2 at the corner, and I did the single crochets all the way across the bottom. I still counted. It should have the same number. It should still have 23. And then I did the 23 all the way up. And it worked out with my gauge, with my tension. It worked out that what it actually needed on the side was 3 single crochets for every 2 rows in this pattern. That's how it worked out with my tension and my gauge. You want to, look at yours and figure out you might pull your spike stitches more than I do. So you might need your 10 rows might be taller than my 10 rows. You may not pull your spike stitches as much, so your 10 rows may be shorter than my 10 rows. That's why it's kind of hard for me to give you a definite answer. You want to work it until it is the height you want, and then you just kind of have to do your math. If you're doing a border, you have to measure it out and figure out how many single crochets to spread around. All right, so there you have that. I hope you found this tutorial of the little fan stitch helpful, and thank you.